So let's go ahead and fill out our FileReader class. I'll first go ahead and change internal to public because we want the access to be available to other classes as well. That's just an access specifier. Internal, public, private, those are access specifiers. And then we're going to say, okay, so now we have our method from within this class that once we instantiate this class, we can use it. And we can take this out because we're about to implement it. Now let's say, actually on the very top, say we are going to be using system.io. Remember? That's where the file custom class was, or custom type rather, that we can use, and then we can use static methods from it. One of them was read all lines. That's exactly what we're going to use from, from the file custom type. And in there, we're going to pass in our file name. Now we're going to say, okay, well, we want to say string and an array of strings because that's going to be returning an array of strings, and we'll call our array file content. So this will do. But this is actually a very naive approach. Obviously, then we have to return our file content. But this is a very naive approach because what if the file name is not found? This will give us an unhandled exception. So how do we handle exceptions? Exactly, try catch. So let's do just that. I'll say try and then catch. Let me just set that up, and then we will put all of it inside the try catch. So I'll say exception ex, and now let's go ahead and do it. First, I will initialize my array on the very top. And then I will return it. But inside of the try catch, I will say now try to assign a value to our array. Because if you actually put the string array in here, right? If you do this, then it's out of scope, so you don't know what you're returning. So you can say always return an empty array, but why not just say that you're declaring an empty array, or you're declaring your array here and then returning that back. And if in try it fails, then you can still return it back. So we have this much, and the next thing to do is to actually go ahead and throw a new exception. So the way I will do it is by saying throw new exception, and then I will go ahead and say create a new exception, but wrap the existing exception that I throw into a new exception. So just get the message from this current exception, then create a new exception, and then wrap that around the message. There are many ways that you can rethrow your message, but the worst one, which you do not want to do, is doing this. Right? Because it erases the entire call stack. And in this case, you are not. You are still keeping the call stack, and you're not, removing everything. So this is great. And we basically have our file reader ready. We can actually take it out because none of those we are using. And this is fully functional. Now we have a way in which we're passing a file name. This is a file reader, which is pretty generic also. So remember, do not repeat yourself. And it is exactly what we're doing. We're saying this is a generic file reader. You can pass in whatever. It can be a word list. It can be the file name that the user provides with their scrambled words. Whatever you give it, it'll read all the lines from it, put it in a string array, and then return it back to you. So now, here, we didn't even have to change anything because we already assumed that it was working in the first place. So if we go down here, see? Before, obviously, if we ran it, nothing would have happened. But in this case, if we run it now, it will actually read the files. Yet, we don't have to change any code in here because we assumed that the read would work. And that's the beauty of it. When you imagine things that they are already working, and then you go and make them work afterwards, that's a much better way. Because now it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You're putting things in the right places, and then at the end, you see the bigger picture. So now, as I said, the file reader is complete and we can move on.